Okie dokie, we are back on the air. Mic is reacting. Alright, so I'm picking up exactly where we left off, scrolled down, I think, to about the same position. Actually, no, it's just whatever my system will be remembering. Let's turn on my progress meter. Class method implemented, 7 out of 18. Maybe we can put a background color on this. What would be good? Purple? Nah, let's do grey. Dark grey. Oh no, it's a gradient. Alright. It matters not. Anyway, I'll figure out these overlays at some point. Let's put that over there. Such a bad position. Will that do? Nobody in the stream just yet, so I can take my time with this. Give it a drop shadow, give it an outline. There we go. Surely that'll do. Code a bit bigger. Would be very nice for everyone. And if we go full size, big mode, we'll be doing alright. Okie dokie, so to begin with the usual recap, we are going to be rewriting CocoaPods, which is a massive Ruby-based project, into TypeScript so that we can run it on Node.js. And this will remove another dependency from the React Native and indeed NativeScript tool chains. And there will be non-cross-platform frameworks out there, even vanilla iOS devs who are maybe not fully satisfied with CocoaPods as well, which it could offer a solution for. The main impetus for this is Ruby. With each time macOS updates its version, it's possible that it also updates a version of the system Ruby, and CocoaPods also has a certain support range for what Ruby it's happy to work on, and sometimes your other projects will not have such a generous range, and so for one reason you might need to be on this version of Ruby, whereas the other reason you have to be on system Ruby or whatever, and it's all very annoying. So a lot of people end up with Ruby version managers, and so this adds more and more to the friction of doing all this, of setting up a mobile project. And so yeah, I'm trying to liberate us from all that by moving it to Node.js. Node.js, it's just what I'm good at, and TypeScript is the predominant language of it's the one unifying language for React Native, and indeed for NativeScript and friends. So, and TypeScript has got a lot of good things going for it. It's a lot easier to manage the code, better refactoring, better type safety. So I think we can get some wins out of this compared to Ruby. So without further ado, moving on to the next method to port. I'm currently working on user interface, which is CocoaPod's custom console logger. And we have these inputs, and what I've got here in the comments is the original Ruby code, and I'm just going to be working through that line for line, writing the TypeScript equivalent. So there's a few patterns in here I've maybe not seen before, but we're just going to take it as we go. I'm tempted to go into full screen, but I don't really know what that's going to do to my screen share. Shall we try it? Full screen. Oh no, this is Zen mode, isn't it? Zen mode. Fine. It's kind of an improvement, but I don't feel like I gained that much more space. But we'll go with this. So, mode comes from here, And what I'm going to have to do is, because the IntelliSense peaks out the bottom, I need to have this code on the top. We don't have, I can't really see what's going on, so I'm just going to have another copy up on my right. On that point, I should alert the Discord. I should say, now streaming. Streaming again. Okay. So, going to the top here. If mode is equal to name and version, then we'll run our static function, which is puts indented. We're going to put a string that it's a template string. It takes set.name. Now, where does set come from? Okay, set.get. No, hold up. Name, I would guess. Yeah. The set. Does that make sense? So this is a little tricky because this is my first time seeing this set thing. So I put it as unknown for the time being. What does this mean? Print the text representation of a given set, the set that should be presented. Okay. Name. Version. Stop. First version. I'm starting to wonder if this is not in fact modeled by an ECMAScript set. Is set a concept of CocoaPods? Let's find out. CocoaPod. I think I've got a link around here. Let's just fix that up. Ooh. Oh, yeah, so that's the downside of Zen mode. I really want these things side by side. I wish I could have Zen mode, but not full screen. Oh! I can! Yes, let's go. Right, so put that on the side, but a bit bigger. CocoaPods. Let us search for usages of whatever we were working on. This is very convenient for mobile users, but wait a minute. We wanted Zen mode but not full screen. How do we achieve that? Oh, they're mutually exclusive? Why would you? Alas. Okay. Can we just get rid of these side? What's the status bar? That's on the bottom, isn't it? Yes, that's valuable space gained back. Breadcrumbs. Maybe I can survive without that. Yes, space. Sticky scroll has been handy, but it's valuable space. Layout. Okay. White space control characters. Those are innocent. Those are fine. Tab bar. Panel position. Left button is pretty good. Activity bar hidden. Oh, okay. Good. These lines are enormous, to be honest. I do think, though, to help both myself and viewers, we're going to need... Where was that thing? Sticky scroll. Yes, okay, that is much nicer. I think I'm going to have to reduce the font size a bit. Okay. turn off. So we need to find usages of this set thing. So this is going to be a... So presenter takes one of these sets. Maybe if we follow that, we can find out what exactly a set is. Have you got a presenter class? Oh. Specification set. I mean, I don't... Maybe this is a Ruby standard feature, but I'm pretty sure... There we are. Lazy specification. So are we going to have to implement that before we get any further? Oh boy, there's 100 lines in there. Nested classes, what does this even mean? Right, let's grab that and proceed. So this was a file path here. It was CocoaPods resolver, lazy specification. Let's grab that. Bump it up. Oh, I do need this data. I need that bar back. Hold up. Appearance. It's one of the things that says hidden on it. Activity bar. Default. Phew. Okay. Back in action. So we're going to make a new folder called resolver, and it's a new file. Wait a minute. I thought it would automatically make a file for me. I thought that was the whole point of that feature. Alright. Lazy specification, and what we're going to do is we're going to grab this. That is an implementation for it, yeah. That's the original Ruby. We're going to paste it in here. We're going to hide this away. And we're going to comment that out and start working on this. So in my rewrite, we're trying to avoid sort of module merging, and also, although the closest thing to that in TypeScript is namespaces, we're going to avoid that as well, just because that's discouraged in modern day TypeScript. So, going back to this, how is this structured? You've got specification and then set. So this is all rather new. These are all new Ruby concepts to me, like nesting sets, and then that's very weird. But in practice, how do we use this thing? So set has a name and it's got some versions. Anything else? Set has got... Let's go back to this. Where's the name? Name and version, okay. Lazy specification. Was that mentioned at all? Some of this code is far too meta for its own good. But I can see if we don't have one, or if we're not in the name and version mode, we can create a specification set like that. Presenter.new. So let's just fold out everything. How does this all work? Specification set, and these are all folded out. So where's that presenter? Let's Is it also... Whoops. Let's find presenter again. Bum, ba, dum, bum, bum. That's strange. Okay. Do we even bother going into the... Instead of remove presenter deprecated. Pod. So once upon a time, deprecated existed directly under pod rather than under pod.spec. So anything more we can learn about presenter, because I am just lost at the moment as to what that could, how that could. I'm not just missing it. No. We might have to learn. I'm gonna have to look up how this all works. Let's get an off-screen ChatGPT. ChatGPT and ask what on earth that means. I lost it again. This. Let's try to guess what it means. So, let's see. I'm wondering if, is this like a delegate signature saying the spec with source delegate implements all these things. The lazy specification delegate implements all these things, but I notice you've got different initialize methods. Not looking forward to this at all. I keep getting lost as well. Alright, let's just grab this and ask. First I'll ask ChatGPT to have a go at it. How would you express the following Ruby in TypeScript? Let's see how that goes. And it's going to give me something bogus, no doubt. That's exporting a class. Okay. So, okay, delegate is some kind of interface that thinks, bearing in mind I don't trust ChatGPT for one moment. TypeScript delegates, oh sure. I'm going to actually have to learn some Ruby here rather than just require delegate. Actually, okay, that's probably where I should have started. Ruby delegate module. What's like, I don't even know what the good links to click on are. In the Ruby, in the like JavaScript ecosystem, you know, like MDN's good, GitHub's good. But like, which of these is worth clicking on? Let's go with this one, because I think this is the module. There's a module named delegate, which is on the Gems ecosystem. No, I think I'm wrong. Hold on. Well, that's the same pattern, isn't it? Ruby gem delegate. Sweet, that's the one. 17 stars. Okay. Get rid of that progress display. Okay. This library provides 3 different ways to delegate method calls to an object. We're not using simple delegator. We're not. Is it delegate class? Was that the one? Yes. Welcome along. So we're currently learning a bit of Ruby here to solve this, to try to port this thing. Look at this monstrosity. We've got triple nested class. We've got this acute arrow, some kind of delegation thing going on. The delegation thing comes from its own custom Ruby gem with 17 stars. So this might be a pretty unique pattern, but I'm going to try and figure out what it's on about. So it's making use of this delegate class thing. It doesn't give an example. So what do you do when you don't have any examples? You check for tests. Oh, they do have tests. Okay, but nothing literally called delegate class. Okay, so if I were to search though inside the gem for delegate class, what kind of hits do we get? Okay. And they don't even use it like that. Okay. So you say what your superclass is. Okay, we're doing that. Specification is the superclass. Okay. And then you pass it a block. Wow, Ruby's got C-like thingies. Ooh, documents. That'll help. Primary interface to this library, which isn't documented in the Ruby. Okay, but I found it. Use to set up delegation when defining your class. Okay, we will delegate to this other class, and then step 2, you initialize the object of the class to delegate to. Are we doing that? Spec. I guess so. Looks like it. Sample use from temp file, which is really a file object. So you would initialize, you'd set that variable. I hope to be a good presenter here, but this stuff means very little to me. I've used delegates in Objective-C and similar concepts in Swift. But you can see the problem with Ruby. It's very un-TypeScripty. Oh boy. This is clearly doing some meta programming here. Okay, I don't know if I'm going to get much out of that, but what we do know is that is considered the superclass. Is that saying... Okay. So when you initialize... Oh, that's weird. Because here we're not even taking the specification as a initialization param. So that's kind of counter to what it said it needed as arguments. Welcome along, viewer number 2. If anyone understands how delegate classes works in Ruby, feel free to pipe up. Otherwise, your support and sympathies are quite adequate. Let's see. So how would we do delegation? I'm starting to think that thing it said about that object of class to delegate to is looking very unobvious here, because in this initialize thing, it doesn't even call the superclass initializer. So I'm very confused. It's almost like they're doing a sort of anti-pattern here. But say you take in a spec, and then you get the spec source. What is spec source used for? I want to see an example of how this is used. Because I get it. Like, a spec with source is a spec that has a source property. That's in the Ruby repo, that's wrong. That's the only match? Are they not even using this? Oh, they use it inside this file. Jeez. I'm gonna go back up the stack a bit and try to remember what we're trying to achieve here. So what we're trying to port is this line and this line. And for that, we need a concept not of an ECMAScript set, but of a specification set presenter, whatever that is. And I still don't understand what it is. Maybe I'll come back to this later, as this is probably not making great viewing right now. So we've been defeated by that one. Let's recover my ground a bit and show how this would normally go. So normally we'd have a progress monitor up, and we'd say, hey, there's 7 out of 18 class methods implemented, and we're going to take an easy win. Maybe I'll do this one off stream with lots of umming and ahhing. So if you have a value, we do a whole bunch of stuff here, but we could make that a bit simpler by saying if you don't have a value, just early return. Now the value to print, it's, I think the original, hold up, let me get back to the user interface. We want to see value to print. That is anything that's stringifiable. So I think unknown is all right. So we take this outer wrapper off. We move down to the next tier of code to port. And we're just going to move those comments above so the IntelliSense window doesn't get in the way. Okay. So next up, we'll make a local variable, title, is equal to a template string of that. So it's kind of making a bullet point. Okay, there's our title. Now, if I see that's the smaller case, so I might actually do that smaller case first. If value, if array dot is array value, and we don't need to check it for, we don't need to nullish check it because I'm pretty sure array dot isArray is happy with, if you pass it in null or an undefined, it will say no, it is not an array without, it's not going to crash or anything. So if it's not an array, we take the negative case and we do the this.puts thing, which I've implemented elsewhere. A wrapped string. I forgot what a wrapped string is. We'd done one earlier. Wrap string. Let's check the other example of wrap string I handled earlier. That's an indented equals. Oh, that's one of our functions. All right. So I'm pressing the back button on the mouse here to get back to where I was. It's the most valuable thing you can have for coding. So we're going to wrap a string. Huh? Oh yes, I was wondering why the code looked unfamiliar. It's because I'd reversed the conditions. Right, so title L just? Left justify? Oh boy, what? Is that some Ruby? It's not some typo. Okay. So that's a Ruby standard function. What is L just? If integer is greater than length of string, returns a new string. Is this some kind of pad string? I'm pretty sure. Yeah, pad it up to the length of, as specified, with the following characters defaulting to space. Okay. And L just means pad right, I think. Yeah. So title.padRight, padEnd, up to a max length of, what's the default? Oh, justification, that's it. With a space. Oh, the default value is already a space. That's great. Some ecosystem agreement. You pad the end. That's LJust, isn't it? Let's just make sure. LJust. That is the same as pad end, isn't it? Okay. Okie dokie. So we've expressed that, and we're gonna template that alongside value. So let's just do that. Should do the trick. Hold up. Plus the value, that is the first param that goes into wrap string. And then finally you have this indentation level. Save it. Okay, and then we return, I assume this returns void, so there's, oh, that returns a string. So do we actually return the string out of that? For now, no, maybe we don't. I don't know. It's so unclear with Ruby because it does implicit returns. Maybe implicit return. Ret run. I thought it would just correct me. Oh, welcome along. So we're, I don't know if you're a viewer rejoining stream or joining stream for the first time, but yeah, we're porting this block of code here, and I'm just starting with this right here, and I'm learning about early implicit returns in Ruby. So the fact that the original function ended with a put string makes me think it probably returned that put string, which means it probably would normally return a string. So maybe that's wrong in the first place. It should return a string. So if there is no value, but then that doesn't make sense. It's either a string or undefined, I guess. So if we bail out early, as the original function did, yeah, I don't know. But so far, we'll see if it makes sense in a moment. So we've handled that. Now we know we're dealing with an array. So down here, let's just bring that along. Take a local variable, I think. Const lines equals. Let's just get that down here. Do we have a wrap string function? We do. Title, self.indentation level, this.indentation level. And does this mean a statically declared array in Ruby? Let's find out. Ruby close, 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 close. Ruby statically declare array. How do you do that? Static array. Yeah, that sounds like it. Array literal, that's the one, that's what it's called. Okie dokie, we've got our lines. So string array. Okay. That's, why would you do value each on a one member array anyway? Oh, hang on. What is value? Okay. For const element of value, as we know, we checked it's an array. For each element, we'll do lines dot. I think that pushes this thing here. So we're going to wrap a string, this to wrap string, that little template string there, so it's another bullet point thing again. With indentation level, this to indentation level plus 2. So clearly, I think what this thing is doing is it's printing out. So it's printing out arbitrary values for us. If the value happens to be an array, it prints it out as a nested bullet point list. So it's really weird. I think once we've written all this, we'll eventually be able to swap out this whole file with something which does the equivalent thing, just a pretty printing logging library, or even just console.log. But until then, I'm not going to think too hard. I'm just going to port all the code. So we do all of that, and then we finally do return this.put string, lines.join up with a new line character, please. What is the problem? That's interesting. Returning void is not the same as returning undefined. Did they change that in TypeScript over the years? Hello, welcome along. We are porting some Ruby code and I'm learning Ruby as we go. Prints a message. So they never made it clear in the original implementation. What does that mean? Oh, that's a try catch. So certainly there it would return void. And it would try to write a message into your output stream. So I think that probably does return void. Meaning, maybe this whole thing returns void after all. Void. Okay. Lines push. Sweet. So we've done one extra function. I don't think I'm missing anything. Class method is implemented. Let's update that to 8 out of 18. Nearly halfway. Oop. Oh, why are we writing TypeScript? Sorry, I'm just seeing that message. So it's up between a few choices. Probably infamously the fastest choice for rewriting CocoaPods, or anything these days, would be to rewrite in Rust. However, I am not a Rust developer. It would not make a very good stream for watching at all, except for from a sadomasochistic point of view. I don't think I'd ever finish, but with TypeScript, Node.js, I stand a chance. TypeScript is a pretty good analog to Ruby in that Ruby is super dynamic. It can express quite a lot, and so you need an equally flexible language to handle with that. With Rust, everything's expecting like a strong contract, right? But JavaScript and thus TypeScript can kind of take anything you throw at it. But I have definitely been coming across the characteristics of Ruby, which is it is far too dynamic for its own good. It enables some very hard to read code and hard to maintain code, I would say. So there has been, like the stuff I started the stream on, I just don't know how to port that yet. But I'm going to keep going, and hopefully the better a picture I get of the whole code base, the more I start to realize, oh, here's a totally different way we could write this. And we can get rid of a bunch of meta programming. Okay, let's treat ourselves to a bit of font size. So I think we could express that in one line. So that we think returns void. So this dot put string indented is actually going to be a this dot wrap string, where we wrap the message, and we set the Vista indentation level. Sweet. Okay, class methods implemented. We are up to 9 out of 18. We're halfway. Can get rid of that for a moment. Here we go. We have some streams. Stood out dot flush. How would you do that in Node? Node docs. Streams. Is this the right thing? Or maybe we want console, because we just want to flush. Flush stood out is really what I want to achieve. Flush. Flush stood out in Node.js. Oh, sweet. That might help. Let's grab ourselves process. No. Is that what it's called? Yeah, that exists. Okay. jump back to where we were, and we'll take process.stood out, please. No? What is this? What have we got? Oh, that's weird. Okay, stood out. That's more like it. Can we have a flush, please? No, we can't. Can we like synchronously flush? Because that's what that function is relying on, I think. Okay. How are we going to flush this stood out? I mean, we could make it a promise rather than making it blocking. Let's see who's actually using this and see whether it needs to be. Oh, sorry. Print warnings. So probably like post crash, right? Ah, called at the end of the execution of the binary. I might suggest it needs to be done synchronously, but I don't know. Let's do it as a promise for now. Static async. And we're going to do so I think we do actually need a write. Stood out dot write, right? Sends data. Well, we can just write nothing. And I want the promisified version of this. So how do you get? We use node util. Is there node promises nowadays? Node util, and we're going to grab promisify. That one? Yeah, okay. Right. Const. Right, equals. We're going to promisify stood out dot right. Yeah, I'm blind as well. This text is far too hard to deal with. Dot right. Is that going to give us a promise to? Yes, that's exactly what I want. Okay. Jump back to where we were, and we shall do an await on right of nothing, because we think that'll. But so the idea here is if you try to write into the buffer and write nothing into the buffer, the stood out buffer that is, it should return the promise once that buffer finally flushes and catches up with what you wanted to write. Catching up with chat now. Kenzen78 saying the classic Britishness of apologising after typing in the wrong input field. I wasn't even consciously aware of that. It's just burned into my soul. And then Ricardo Valero is saying, could you provide a brief sketch of what CocoaPods does? Or are you discovering it file by file? I am somewhat discovering it. What I'm aware of is that CocoaPods manages an Xcode project, so a .xcode project file, and it makes its own .xc workspace file. Now, I'm not sure if XC workspace is an invention is an official Apple invention or a CocoaPods invention. It might actually be a CocoaPods invention. I'm not sure. So CocoaPods is responsible not just for managing dependencies, but for declaratively describing an Xcode project. And what that means is it liberates you from having to do these manual changes to the Xcode build settings and whatnot yourself. You can just describe a CocoaPods config. The part where it gets really messy is that it allows all these scripts to be run on all the various parts of the lifecycle. So you can have build phase scripts, and you can have scripts that just run at all times of the build and just for certain pods. Things like if your pod is a whole bunch of C++ code, you can have a CocoaPods script that does all sorts of building to it before finally sort of pre-processing, or takes over and uses its own individual compiler. So that's what CocoaPods does. It sort of it just manages Xcode projects declaratively. As for the CocoaPods code base, there's kind of two sides to it. There's three sides I'm aware of. There's the Xcode project management. There's the dependency. There's the specs repo, which is kind of like the store for all the kind of like package.jsons, but for CocoaPods. And then finally, there's this gargantuan parser for the Xcode project format, which is kind of a undocumented modification of what is it, plist or XML? Plist itself is a variation of XML, I think. But yeah, CocoaPods does a lot. Fortunately, Evan Bacon has already done a big port of the Xcode proj parser, so that should save us a lot of work. So what I'm focusing on here is all the rest of the CocoaPods monorepo, and then eventually, we'll be building on top of Evan's plist parser to save a bit of time, but I think there will be modifications we'll have to make, I assume. Let's see. Oh, once drained. So when does this promise actually resolve? So we want it right. Writable.right. Oh boy. So when does it return? Yeah, I think that's perfect. I think, I'm not too clear. I think my intention here is that this flush is stood out. I'm not totally confident that right resolves the promise on the drain event. Yeah, okay, so we after all that time we have implemented stood-out.flush, we think. Warnings. This is the weirdest. This is one gripe I have with Swift as well. I really wish they would just use explicit. If that field is available on this then make it explicit, please. Otherwise, I don't know. Like, where's this thing coming from? And can we do a? Can I get that to turn it into my favorite kind of loop for context warning of this? So that's of type any, so we'll have to come back to that. But I think if warning dot verbose only, and you've got this dot config dot verbose, or whatever, then we continue. I assume next means continue. If it's a verbose only. Okay. We gotta write the streams. Std. So I'm gonna change that to right. Stood out right. Stood out. What was that? There we are. That exists. Okay. Stood there. Right. Let's move that up to the top so the intelligence doesn't get in the way. Stood there. Right. No. Put string. Oh boy. Oh, what? Is this a thing? This might actually be a thing we invented. Let's search for that. Is this a Ruby concept? Or a CocoaPods thing? Std clearly has a put string method. Ruby std. Ooh. So this was no use at all. Put string node. So I want to see how you'd express that, because oh, that looks handy. Because I'm very tempted just to write to the stream and then make sure I'm writing with a new line character, but I'm not sure that's quite how it works. Sys.put string. Let's find out what that is first. Is that an os? Sys.put string node. Yeah. That's clearly been deprecated. Print the given string in the logs. Okay. It's a synchronous function, so sys was renamed to util. Util put string. Sweet. But this is in an older version of Node. Let's go back. 5? I don't know. This is just, hang on. This is just console log. But I want a console log to standard error. That's tricky. We've got console APIs. Oh yeah. Go back to the docs. We want to check out console and see if we can choose std error. Oh, what? What? I can create a console just for std error? That's cool. Well, I could just do console.1 or console.error, if that's how it works. Yes, yes, that's what I want. Yes, glorious, I can just write console.error after all that. Console.error. It's going to be a new line with an exclamation mark in a box as a kind of bullet point. We're going to grab the message out of a warning. Let's be assured it has it. We're going to do it in yellow. Oh boy. Have we got the yellow colour? We do have the yellow colour. How did we do this last time? Grab that colour code. Get the yellow colour. Yeah, something like that. He wants all of that in yellow. Yes, boss. It's yellow. Okay. Call that yellow. Okay. And I just want to check if console.1 prints to std error as well. Console.1. It's an alias for console error? No way. Fine. Yeah, I've always found the console API is a bit weird in Node.js compared to browser. Let's see. Warning actions each. Yeah, we can do that. For each action of warning.actions. We're going to do struct equals action. There's your bullet point. And then we wrap it. Oh, what did that mean? It was our function, wasn't it? This to wrap string. Are we reusing this? That can just... Surely that can be inline. Surely. I don't know if that like persists for the next loop or something, but I'm pretty sure you could just do this, right? And you do this dot puts of that, and Bob's your uncle, I think. You wrap the string, you give it a bullet point. Yes, that should work. Promise void. Fix it. Now the only question is, would console log flush stood out? Because that would be very handy. Console log, oh, it's right there. Could it not document that? I feel it could document that. Right. They're not quite synchronous, nor consistently asynchronous. Let's see how this goes then. Oh, sweet. Yes, they're synchronous and POSIX. That's us. And because we're only supporting CocoaPods, although it's admirable to make things as cross-platform as possible, in this case, CocoaPods is very distinctly for, and this is Apple's fault, macOS only, because Apple's whole ecosystem is all about writing Apple platform apps. So Xcode as a concept only exists for macOS, and so we can actually get away. Although we're making a Node.js project, we can be quite selfish. We don't have to think about Unix or Windows. I feel like we could just console log here. Synchronous writes avoids problems such as output written console log being interleaved. Yes, that's exactly what I'm worried about. Or not written. Yes. Music to my... Yes, it blocks the value. I want that. Bring it. Yes. Under high system load. Yes. Bring it. Okay, cool. That means we can actually we can outdo Ruby here. I really don't want to do gymnastics to type this. Can we fix a Copilot? Oh no. That's it. No! Dreadful. Discard that. Alright, I just wanted to... So many key presses to do that. Which means we don't need to start right, we can just... This is most likely totally unnecessary as stood. Should be flushed already, at least on POSIX, but might as well have some code here to document intent. Yes, get rid of that. Who needs Promisify? It's such a pain. So question from Mohammed Nasser. Sorry if I'm repeating the question, but from what I understand, CocoaPods is a dependency manager, and there are a lot of new dependency managers in the TypeScript ecosystem. So why rewrite CocoaPods? So CocoaPods is a dependency manager, but it's also an Xcode project manager. So you can set the build settings for each target in your Xcode project in it. Let's see. The principal reason to rewrite CocoaPods is because it introduces an extra dependency in your toolchain, which is undesired. So right now, if macOS updates and it changes the system version of Ruby, there is a good chance that the next time you try to do a pod install, something will go wrong. And this has happened over more than once over multiple macOS updates, and it's starting to get quite annoying at this point. And so anything we can do to simplify the overall tool chain for developing iOS apps, and this affects React Native, NativeScript, and even regular vanilla iOS projects. If we can get to a point where, you know what, we don't need to think about Ruby version managers at all, because we're not using Ruby, it would be a blessing. And in my experience, Node.js is very generous with its backwards compatibility, and at least for the perspective of doing things for the sake of React Native ecosystem, you're already using Node and NPM. You're committed to that ecosystem to begin with. So it's very nice to be able to continue writing all these declarative scripts and config in a language that we're using elsewhere in our projects, namely TypeScript. As for the dependency manager question, are there a lot of new dependency managers in the TypeScript ecosystem? I'm not actually familiar with these. Oh yes, okay, so there's SWR and Deno's thingy. Oh, I see. Yes, so this could be a bit misconstrued. The aim here is not to put our node modules onto yet another package manager. Absolutely not. This is all for the sake of managing our iOS and macOS and watchOS and tvOS, etc. Dependencies. We're already having to resort to CocoaPods to do that, and it'd be nice if we could cut out CocoaPods and instead use Node.js for that. Now, I think we'd still actually grab these pods from the CocoaPods store. So it's really just the runtime and not the back end that I'd have an interest in changing. Okay, because the back end, back end is GitHub. You can hardly ask for a more flexible place to upload code to. Well, I guess we just finished that print warnings thing, so I can increment my progress bar to 10 out of 18 classes implemented. Yeah. Okay. I should... It's so nice having a very relevant dot comment. At least for terminals and POSIX. Okie dokie. Next method. Just want to check on the time and everything. Okay, I've got another 30-40 minutes to play with. I'll just check I haven't... I'm on silent mode and everything, so if anyone's... Oh boy. Yeah, I think I do need to. Yeah, I think I had better go and catch up on all the communications going on. Alright, so thank you very much everyone for coming along. And we will be battling at this again and again and again. Regularly on Wednesdays and weekends, as and when we can. But until then, thanks for coming along, thanks for expressing interest, and see you again sometime. Bye.